Okay, now it's definitely 4 o'clock and we have our council here, so I'm going to
Four.
call this meeting to order.
Roll call. Chairman Anker Jensen.
Here.
Vice Chairman Dr. Joe Hinojosa.
Present.
Treasurer Gerardo Gonzalez.
Here.
Secretary Liliana Elizondo.
Present.
Board Member Frank Orozco Jr.
Here.
Board Member Ana O'Quinn.
Present.
Board Member Benjamin Peña.
Here.
Next item, public comment period. There wasn't any public comment registered, Chairman. Next item, consent agenda items. Consideration and action, if any, on the following items. Approval of the minutes of special workshop and regular board meetings. A, regular, August 15, 2024. B, special, September 10, 2024. B, acknowledgement regarding the payment of vendor services invoice to the Greater Brownsville Incentive Corporation for the month of August 2024.
Motion to approve.
I have a question on the special meeting on September 10th. Could you just annotate where it says our chairman, Anker Jensen, was absent? Put in like parentheses saying that he was present for the executive session, so it will not appear that he just, did not attend anything. Could you do that?
Yes.
Okay, and then with that, I will make a motion to accept the minutes of the September 10th as amended.
Okay, we have a motion to accept as amended, and I need a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as presented, amended. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, the motion passes.
We need a motion to acknowledge the invoices.
Are you talking about payments?
Yes.
On the payments, I do have a couple of questions on that. I was noticing, I know everything's above board and all, but I see like 137,000. Is that was already approved and all like that, wasn't it? That's a normal payment, part of the engineering project. Okay, and then the $25,000 one to the economic development investor contribution. I can't hear you.
My apologies. Yes, I did speak to the chairman about that one. That was through the governor's office. We've had it before. I think the first time that we didn't have it was last year. And that is the office through where Adriana Cruz is part of. And they're the ones that actually prepare all the agendas and the travel arrangements for the governor. And I had spoken to that with the mayor as well, and the mayor had brought that up because we got some flack when the mayor and some of the cities attended the Asian tour, and we were not part of that. So I did bring it up to the mayor. He said we should become members, and then I did bring it up to the chairman, and the chairman said to go ahead and be a part of that as well.
Okay, I just wanted to question it.
Yes, sir. No. That's
It doesn't
quite right.
mean anything was wrong, it just.
Right. Yes,
It's
sir.
my own edification.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
A motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the vendor invoices.
I second it.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion passes.
Next item, staff report. Business retention and expansion in workforce development efforts. marketing and communication strategic efforts, business recruitment, and events and sponsorship. 3, business retention and expansion and workforce development efforts by Joanna Rangel.
Good afternoon, board members. So this past month, you know what, let me fix. This past month, I did 10 business retention expansion visits, one of which was with Suprajit. Part of the feedback that they gave me is, you know, the automotive industry is facing challenges. The demand is not there, right, currently, and so they're doing good. They're remaining steady. They have about 15 employees. And the location here in Bronzeville is actually the distribution center. Their manufacturing company that's closest is going to be in Matamoros. But one of the things that they did mention is that they want to merge their 2 distribution centers. In between them is going to be MVP Plastics. So they have another 25,000 square feet on the other side. And they do the same thing, right? But they would like to be obviously together. They're looking for space to kind of, you know, in the future be able to do that. So I told them that, you know, whenever they're ready, we can start finding and seeing what options, you know, we have for them. I also connected Mueller with BIC ACE director to provide ESL training for 100 employees. J-Sound Plastics as well, they're exploring expansion opportunities, and they have currently 15 acres available for development. So, you know, this is something that has been in conversation for quite some time. They're trying to see if they either bring another line or what to do in that with that land. Yes, sir.
Is the 15 acre they're talking about, is they have it right next to the factory out to the road, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Additionally, I also facilitated a meeting between Phoenix Store Systems and Youth Build with the CNC instructor, as Youth Build is one of the organizations that have CNC curriculum. So they're needing, you know, CNC certified employees. And so I connected them to see, you know, how they can align the curriculum. So that way they're able to potentially, you know, hire employees through them. And as well do internship opportunities through the Workforce Solutions Cameron programs that they offer. I also attended the teleperformance event in support of their expansion phase at the Bronzeville location. They have a new client called Intuit, and so the mayor and I attended on behalf of, you know, obviously the city to really talk about what's going on here in the city and the advantages of bringing, you know, more opportunities for the city. Teleperformance is ready to handle over 200 more employees. So if the company does decide to, you know, continue, we should be seeing that growth by January. So we'll continue that relationship and support for teleperformance. We hosted the BIC Business and Finance educators and students who learned about what we do. A lot of these students had no idea, you know, what GBIC does. And so for them, it was very eye-opening to see what's going on with the city, what we focus on, and the future opportunities where we can connect them as well for future tours or anything like that so they can continue that education. Eleazar and I attended the STMA monthly meeting in McAllen. They talked about the FAR International Bridge space and expansion and those opportunities that would bring to the city. The team attended the Bridging Borders event organized by the Chamber as well. Very nice event. You know, SpaceX was probably the highlight of the event, and it was very nice attended. We also successfully connected an elementary school teacher from Mexico who was in need of these desks. The desks that they had were in very poor conditions. And in one of my visits to SA Recycling, you know, they have a lot of the things that they receive through the ships. And they mentioned to me that they had, at the time, they probably had over 50 desks. And so they asked me to see, you know, how we could connect them, you know, with people in need that needed them. And so recently, you know, someone reached out to Alexa and said, you know what, we need those desks. And so we were able to make that connection, and they were very happy. So next slide, Marlene. And I just wanted to show the Careers in Coffee flyer that we are currently promoting online. As I mentioned, you know, this event is happening October 16th from 10 to 4. We have a lot of employers already signed up, and we're excited to host this on behalf, in partnership with the city of Brownsville as well. So just wanted to share that with you all, and you have some time to attend, and be a part of it. We'd love to have you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rangel.
I did want to also mention that I was selected to be on the board for the Chamber of Commerce. So just want to let you guys know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rangel. Next item, Marketing and Communication Strategic Efforts by Alexa Perez.
Good afternoon, board members. So just very quick, so I'm gonna review with you 3 priority projects and just give you, of course, an update. Finally, on the website, if you see the last time that we were speaking, we were around stage 4, between stage 3 and stage 4. Today, finally, we're in stage number 6. The website is almost done. Right now, we have a couple of, just a creative team, of course, that is here, local content creators that are helping us to get all of the content. Just a few videos, a few drone videos, and a few other pictures that we need. And right now we're in that content placement and phase, which is gonna last around 1 to 2 weeks. And after that, we should be ready to send all of you the draft finally of the all updated website. If any of you have any question in regards to your headshot, something, please let me know. Just so we can change it, of course, on time, and or after, of course, you review it, we can continue making changes. Next slide, please.
So,
Yes.
that website will now be up and running, September 17th, or?
No. So the content development began on Tuesday, September 17, which means that's stage number 6. That stage is between 1 to 2 weeks. So from September 17, it's gonna take 1 to 2 weeks to add that content so we can be ready to launch. Of course, after reviewing the website and gathering all the feedback.
And when would that be?
Approximately 1 to 2 weeks will be around second week of October, probably, or first week of October.
Good.
Next slide,
Yeah.
please. The second one, so during this last week, we have a prospective company that visited us at the airport, and we had a meeting with the airport director, Mr. Ramos, the business development manager for the airport, Ms. Cardona, and of course, our deputy CEO, Jerry Briones. So we met with them. They already went to the location. They, of course, took measurements. They started, visualizing what the operations team for the airport wants and what are the things, of course, that are realistic to create there. It went great. Everything went great. They are aware, of course, of the budget, and they will be sending just the updated proposal because they already presented actually a draft proposal, which is great. But now having Mr. Ramos in the meeting and having a personal conversation with him, face to face, they were able to catch a little bit more of what are the specific requirements that are needed in an airport. So after that, they will be sending an updated proposal, and we will provide those to you along with 2 more proposals. And next slide, please, Marlene. And the last one, as Joanna mentioned before, we have Careers and Coffee. So we launched the marketing campaign. Right now, it's a priority for us to have both, one, to have audience there, to have the community members taking advantage of this huge job fair, but at the same time having employers there. So we're currently running a couple of Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and we're gonna start running some YouTube ads, Indeed ads, and some digital billboards. Please note that these digital billboards, we're not paying for them. These are the city's billboard, not owned by the city, but the city already has a contract with Lamar. So we will be sending the graphics so they can start rotating that ad there. Another one, of course, just posters, banners, yard signs around the city. A lot of the public relations, for example, reaching out to Proyecto Juan Diego, reaching out to Brownsville Online, the Chamber of Commerce as well, some of the partners, so they can help us to reach, to share the event as well. As of now, usually every year we have an average of 1,700 attendees to this event, talking about the job seekers, right? Not about the employers, which are usually between 40 to 50. However, as of now, we have more than 500 registered community members, which is great. So everything is looking very good so far. We still have more than 1 month away from the event. So we can easily see that hopefully this month we can increase the attendance as well. Of course, environmental design, the signage, content creation, and following the entire calendar. You're going to be seeing some ads in the following days, and of course, more posts related to the event, because we know that right now this is a priority for us. It's a very good opportunity, of course, for all the community to go there and to see all the great opportunities that are here in the city. And just the final one, of course, TV interviews that are free of charge. They are not charging for that. We already have 3 confirmed. And the final one will be the press release. Please note that the press release, we are not aware yet if it is going to be sent on behalf of GBIC or if it's going to be sent on behalf of the city in partnership with GBIC. So we, as a courtesy, we send an email to the Communications and Marketing Department of the city to see how they would like to handle this. And once we get an answer, of course, we'll let you know. Do you have any questions?
Yes, next time, could you slow down a little bit?
Yes.
It's very difficult to understand.
Of course, yes.
You said a revised quote for the airport?
No. It's an updated proposal.
Because
So
I
for-
don't think we've had a proposal yet.
Yes, they do have a proposal, but after they met with Mr. Angel Ramos, so basically, and they were there at the location, they were able to see, what, these type of chairs are gonna work, these type of other chairs will not. Just changing a couple of things of the items that are gonna be there, but without changing the budget. Because now we were able to see, because they gave us, the airport provided us an electric plan, is that how it says, for all of the lighting? So now, for example, if the screen is gonna be here, it's probably not gonna have to be on this side. It's basically that, just changing of the location of the items, not on the budget.
Right. Is that going to be downstairs or upstairs, or where is that?
That's on, it's upstairs in front of gate number 3 to 4. There's an empty concession area there. It's totally empty. And right there, it will be the business, or interactive/business area. And next to it, it will be the kids play area.
Quick question. Right now, you can't see it because there's a wall. It's partitioned off.
Yes.
It's blocked off. So you can't see the area. There's just a door there and.
Yeah, and they are having that door because they are putting a division. So the airport is going to be putting a division between, of course, both areas, and installing more of the electrical things. That I don't know the words right, but the things that they
The
need.
basic question is, it's after check-in?
Yes,
So
in the
you-
waiting area,
you have to
basically.
check in before you can actually go use?
Yes.
Okay,
So it is in front of the gate. Yes.
fine, thank you.
Can you go back to the slide with the website development timeline?
Yes.
So we're nearing the launch point, right? And how far out do you see that being achieved?
I think it all depends on the final review, because that final review can be between 1 to 2 weeks. And after that, we can see, because if we get it, for example, a lot of feedback, let's say from you, from all of us, then of course it will take us more to launch it. But if in the way that we see it, it's almost done, or you think that it's good to launch it and then just continue making changes as we go, then we should be ready to launch in 2 weeks. Yeah, I think it depends on the feedback, but as of now, we did put a lot of, I think the main thing on the website right now was to update a lot of the content. Even that some of the demographics had some content that it was from, some data that it was from around 2021, 2022. So it is including an employment rate, for example, of or population. So yes, we updated all of the content, and that's what took the most. So I hope that the final review and what we're gonna show you, which is the final draft, it's ready to launch, right?
The only concern is that my esteemed colleague was sharing that we are between executive directors, and so it'd probably be prudent to kind of hit the pause button a little bit and let him or her
Of course.
have input on the final
Oh,
product.
yes, of course. And if we have the final review, and well, of course, if by your direction, you say, what, just put a hold until he or she or the new director provides a new direction, that's totally fine. But at least we already have the skeleton and all of the content there, and we can just make those minor changes, which is gonna take less time that start building from scratch, right?
In other words, we don't have to be in a rush to get it.
No, not at all. But I want for all of you, because I know this project, it was supposed to be done probably a couple of months ago, but I want to let you know that the new company that is working on it, honestly, it's great. It's been able to have this ready in 2 months for a very good price. I think I already provide to all of you that. So, so I just wanted to provide, of course, the update. Thank you.
One more question. When the webpage is done, as you're searching in the Google or any search engine, are we gonna be able to, if they put Brownsville or economic development, is it gonna be able to link it?
So yes, yes and no. So one of the things, it's a yes, because that's exactly the thing that we're working on. If we put right now economic development in Google for Brownsville, right, most of the times we don't see that the GBIC pages is up. Why? Because it means that we don't have enough SEO. SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. This means that through the entire website, we need to add all of these keywords. So the current website that we have is great, but it only mentions Brownsville. So if you put Brownsville, probably you're gonna see it, but it doesn't really have a note of those keywords, which are economic development. So what we're doing right now is putting economic development in multiple paragraphs, but also in the caption of the pictures, in the pictures and in the videos that are gonna be included. So we're crossing fingers that right now is gonna be, of course, up, but that is something that we start building through the time. Once we launch it, we're gonna see where we at, because through Google we can see where are we at. If we're like from 100 results, we're on the number 100, then what are the things that we need to change so we can be on the number 1, right? And we can eventually add also some money so we can create Google Ads as well.
In addition, are you gonna put Rio Grande Valley, so when they are searching for economic development in the valley?
Yes. Yes, and one of the keywords that we're adding as well is South Texas or Rio Grande Valley. So that one can be also an option, and they don't only see one of the economic developments from our sister cities, right, the McAllen Mission, but also Brownsville is there.
I think Frank's onto something, sorry, Gerardo's onto something, that we got to be careful that we don't start operating in our own silo, that we connect to the other department in the city as well, so that if you have a website that promotes us primarily, you've got to have a way you can go to other services in the city, because we're part of the city.
Yes.
That's was your question, right?
No,
If it-
more when they're searching, because
Like when you type in economic development,
Mhm.
it's a little bit unclear right now. If you
Yeah.
look for it, it doesn't guide you to the right page, so everybody gets lost.
Okay.
So to me, when you're this is the draft mode, so you have to create it in such a way where if you hit economic development Brownsville, it's gonna get you to GBIC. And the other question was, if they're searching the valley, we need to put certain keywords also there, so we land on.
So we land in Brownsville.
Yes.
So the first option is Brownsville, and then you can have the others.
And another thing is that it's not only economic development, but we're trying to put those keywords also, like investing in Brownsville. How do I go to invest in the US? How can I move my company to the US? How can I move my company to Brownsville? All of those common questions that we have, we're putting all of that through the website. So when someone they're not even related maybe to the economic development sentence, right? Those 2 words. But if they just want to know, how can I move my company from Monterrey to Brownsville? At least they can see that the GBIC website is going to be at the top, right? Because we're going to be their one-stop solution, right? And with the question that you had, Chairman, of course, so one of the other things that we add is that in order to attract businesses, we need to promote the city, right? So when we promote the city, we do include, besides the basics and all that, we do include an area in which we're going to be promoting the quality of life. That we have the zoo, we have the museums, we have the beach, we have these, all of that. But also there, we put a button that sends them to the tourism page, in this case, to visit Brownsville. If they want to learn more about the tourism part of Brownsville, they can click there and go to visitbrownsville.com, which is the page that we developed with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Or if they have other questions, at least on the area of with permitting and permits with the city, we can put a button there, and from there they can click there, and they can be directed to the city's portal.
that's important, because I think I think that when people see that there's links and that there's collaboration, it looks really good, obviously, and like we're organized, so that'll attract people. So I'm glad you have that.
You have any other question?
Any more questions, guys? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Next item, business recruitment by Jerry Briones.
Yeah, so we did have a pretty busy month. We got a total of 16 leads or inquiries. We received 8 from the state. We didn't get a chance to respond to any of them. But we also attended several events. One was at the Universidad Autónoma de Nuevo León, which was a networking and panel discussion event held in Monterrey. And we had gone last year, and it was pretty good. I think we came back with about 3 leads. We're still working on one. This year it was a little different. It was still networking, but they had a lot more panels, so it wasn't quite as interactive with the industries that were attending. So so it wasn't where we could get a lot of traction, I think. So I think we'll reconsider that one for next year just in case. And then we also met with a local developer. He's brought in a company from Taiwan, and they're very interested in setting something up in Matamoros. But we met with them yesterday, as well as the mayor, and they were very impressed with Brownsville and some of the resources that we can offer. So it looks like we're going to continue some dialogue there. I got an email this morning from the developer saying that they really enjoyed their time with us and with TSC, and they definitely do want to continue looking at Brownsville to set up their operation on this site. It's a Fortune 500 company. It's well funded, and they do a lot of work for a lot of people, including SpaceX. So it was pretty nice. I also served on a panel for the AEM and CONSEM, Misión de Negocios Brownsville, McAllen, and FAR. It was sponsored by UTRGV as well as from CONSEM. AEM stands for Asociaciones de Empresarios de México. En COMSE es Consejo Empresarial Mexicanos de Comercio Exterior, Inversión, Tecnología, Región Sur. So it's like I guess probably like an economic development organization from Mexico, but they're into promoting not only companies into Mexico, but also to the U.S. They had about 27 attendees. It was myself, Ramiro Aleman, and it was moderated by Rick from CoStep. Out of that, I picked up about 3 business cards, and I've already connected with them on WhatsApp. And one of them is a food processor, pretty big in Mexico. They actually already have an operation in Houston and in California, and they're looking to put something in the Valley. So that was pretty cool. I also attended the American Chamber Mexico North American Week in Monterrey. That was last week. It was very well attended from the Mexico side. From the U.S. side, it was only us and FAR. And the city of FAR actually ended up signing an MOU that they had been working with AmCham for about the last 2-3 years. So I think I was talking to Elazar, I think it's something that once the new CEO comes in, I think we need to take a look at some of these events and kind of see how we can get more involved. I think the A&M and the CONSEM. So CONSEM is, it's a sur, and obviously sometimes I get mixed up because north and south of Mexico, but it's the Puebla, Tlaxcala, and other regions further south. So we also got an invite. I got an invite last night from another organization in Querétaro, inviting us to a B2B commerce as well, late October. So hopefully the new CEO will be here as well, and we can kind of discuss that with them. And just to kind of go back to what you said, Ben, we are putting some of the things, depending on what it is, I take a look at it, and I do kind of put a little bit of a pause so that we can discuss with the new CEO coming in. And then I want to touch something on the BEDC for the website. So when the old BEDC that maybe some are aware of and some may not, went away, BCIC actually picked up that website. So when people sometimes look for Brownsville Economic Development, it goes to their website. And that's where we kind of get a mix up. So I'll get an email from Nathan, hey, these guys probably belong to you guys instead of to us. I had a discussion with Nathan last week, and we're going to see how we can maybe do something together where maybe we both get those emails instead of just them getting the email. And then that has something to do with the sponsorship that we gave them, right? Say, hey, we need to work a little better on this one. So just a little tidbit on that one. And then next slide. And then I kind of spoke to some of them already that are in here, but I did meet with Tech de Monterrey while I was over there. I also attended a summit, economic summit from Team Texas in Rockwall. It was actually pretty good. It's how to strengthen your communities. It was a day and a half event. There was quite a few site selectors. We were able to get one-on-one meetings with them, both from Texas and from outside of Texas. So it was very well attended as well from pretty much every part of Texas, to be honest. They spoke about some of the challenges that we have here, which was water, and obviously number one for a lot of people is utilities as well. So that was a very good event. And then thank you to Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Peña. We attended the RGV partnership in Harlingen. Mr. Duncan Wood was a guest speaker, and kind of gave us a lot of insight of what's going on in Mexico and what we should prepare ourselves for maybe coming. It was funny because I had those same conversations in Monterrey during the AmCham Mexico. I was very surprised. There was a lot of Mexican businessmen that were not totally in agreement with everything that's happening, and some of them are looking at actually coming to the U.S. In fact, they mentioned there's probably more Mexican dollars leaving Mexico to the U.S. than there is right now FDI to Mexico. So that was very interesting, and that was the panel discussion at eBridge and then at Team Texas. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I do have one
Yes, sir.
question. You touched on basically what Alexa was saying. If I'm looking for economic development for Brownsville, GBIC does not even have the word economic.
No, sir,
in
it
there.
it does not. It goes to BCIC.
Yeah.
And they, we actually looked at trying to obtain that domain, and we couldn't because it had already been purchased by BCIC.
Well, I mean, we may need to look, put our heads together and come up with another acronym.
Yeah, I did open up the conversation with Nathan last week, so we're, but we'll also take a look at what else we can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
basically putting our heads together.
We'll,
come
we'll
up
look at
with
that
a-
further, yes,
yeah,
sir.
You're right.
Any more questions for Jerry? Good, Ben? Anything? Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Mr. Briones. Next item, presentation from Brownsville Public Utility Board.
Welcome. When can we start watering our garden again? We've had rain enough.
Yes, a lot of rain, unfortunately. It's great that we've had it here. It curtails demand. We really want it in our watershed. And I'll go over that here in a minute. Thank you, Chair, members of the board. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about our current drought situation, specifically as it applies to water supply. Clearly, there's a lot of rain, so when it comes to water supply, you'll see how that impacts us here in Brownsville, not only in Brownsville, but the entire region. Our main message for today is the following, and I'll elaborate on the different stages, but this is really the main message. We're currently in stage 2. We are forecasting that we may be moving into stage 3, and I'll talk about what all that means. So we're really asking our community to help by complying with the current stage 2 requirements. We're raising awareness. We're reaching out to the local boards so that we continue to raise this awareness. Not only the local boards, but we're definitely reaching out, throughout the community just to raise the awareness about the current drought conditions. Next slide. So I'll begin with where we store our water. This is the Rio Grande watershed. Most communities throughout the valley store their water in Amistad and Falcon Dam. That's where we all store our water. Clearly, communities will have their own little reservoirs. We have our own reservoirs here, but the primary source of storage for all of us along the border are these reservoirs. If you know, the watershed runs into Mexico. So a lot of these distributaries on the Mexican side are actually feeding these 2 dams where we store our water. Okay, next slide. So the U.S. International Boundary Water Commission, IBWC, they're responsible for applying the treaties between the U.S. and Mexico. They have, staff from both entities, U.S. and Mexico, and they're the ones who monitor and the water being provided by Mexico and U.S. There's a 1944 treaty that obligates Mexico to provide 1.7 million acre feet of water to the U.S. over a 5-year cycle. This cycle we're currently in began in October 2020, so it runs to 25. As of September 7th, the last formal reading we've received from the IBWC, Mexico has delivered about 407,000 acre feet of the 1.7 million. So there's a lot of activity, a lot of work locally with our leadership, other entities, trying to see what we can do to resolve those issues with the Mexico deliveries. Some of the things that you see there are reaching out to legislators, IBWC, and so forth, the U.S. Department of State. Okay. This is just a graph depicting the water deliveries from Mexico. If you see that red line, that would be the 1.7 million acre feet over 5 years equates to about 350,000 acre feet per year. The red line would be what we would expect to receive over the 5-year cycle. The black line is what we've actually received. So there's definitely some issues there. Next slide. Here you're looking at a graph dating back to 96. This is again, Amistad and Falcon percent storage. The blue line is the U.S. storage over the years, and red is Mexico storage. Really focusing at the end there on 2024, our current levels, which are about 20% as of this September 7th. And really what we're trying to depict here, just to really show everyone, when was the last time we were at these levels? You'd have to go way back to 98. And this summer, quite frankly, we dropped a little bit lower than that 98 reading. Something else to demonstrate there, even Mexico has their challenges, as you can see by that graph as well. Next slide. This is just a lot of information here, but I'll keep it simple. There's a Falcon Dam, depiction of the Falcon Dam. On the left, you'll see the percent capacity that dam can hold. And we're currently, that says 12.7. The last reading, we're about 13%. It's gone up a little bit as a result of recent rains over the last couple of weeks. But just to give you an illustration of the Falcon Dam levels. So what do we do here? How do we help mitigate some of that? Most municipalities have what's called the Water Conservation and Drought Contingency Plan. This is mandated by the state that water suppliers have these plans in place to address emergencies. Every 5 years we update it. We recently updated our plan in May 1st, and that was submitted. But I will add that we're working on improving our plan. We'll talk about the restrictions that this current plan has, but we're really working on looking at not only our restrictions, our looking at city ordinances that may help. So we're really taking a real good look again, and we'll be working collaboratively with the city, and then we'll be submitting a new plan probably here shortly. So the plan consists of water conservation section, where it talks about what our strategies, our conservation strategies, but then also a drought contingency section where we talk about how do we restrictions, enforcement, and so forth. And I'll be focusing a little bit on the drought contingency portion. So the drought contingency portion of our plan, the purpose of that is to, as I mentioned earlier, to limit the demand during emergencies. Drought, from a water supply standpoint, is certainly an emergency at this point. We want to minimize adverse impacts of water supply shortages. It could also be like serious main breaks or natural disasters, but that's the purpose of the plan, to help curtail demand. The authority, PUB, along with the city, which sets the guidelines and criteria for implementing the different stages. The PUB general manager and the city of Brownsville mayor or their designees, they initiate the different stages that we'll talk about. Next slide. And all this is part of city ordinance. The meter here, what we're as of September 7th, the U.S. storage is at 20%. Okay, as we mentioned earlier, definitely levels that we haven't seen in quite a while. Clearly, we all see the rain, and we think, hey, good, we're great, but it's really, we need that rain within that watershed so that we have it stored in those dams. Our stages for our current plan are the ones on your left. Stage 1 is a voluntary stage, 2 restrictions, surcharges, and rationing. Our stage 1, a voluntary, typically we would begin that on May 1st, and start our outreach and just asking folks to voluntarily conserve. Quite frankly, we've been in stage 1 for quite some time. We're now into stage 2. So for stage 2 restrictions, that we start talking about restrictions, limiting your water and so forth, so many days per week, and so forth. And I'll touch on those a little bit. And then stage 3, which we're hoping we delay, quite frankly, avoid. But stage 3 begins, one of the criteria is once those levels at Amistad and Falcon drop to 15%, keep in mind we're at 20, then we start the discussion about implementing stage 3. Stage 3 does include surcharges, and that's surcharges for the community. So clearly we're wanting to avoid that. And surcharges are only intended to curtail demand. I mean, that's really the intent, so that people conserve water, so that it's left for potable use in particular. Stage 4 rationing, that can occur when there's a serious emergency. We could go straight to stage 4. Should our water facilities have issues, contamination, and things like that, and there's a need for rationing, we've never done that, we could definitely get into rationing. This is a graph of the U.S., again, the U.S. Combined storage, Falcon and Amistad combined, over the last several years. 2021, red, 22 in green, blue, 23, and purple in 24. And clearly there's a trend. Over the last several years, the levels at Amistad have been at Amistad and Falcon have been dropping. Various factors, climate, deliveries, many factors, but clearly we've seen a drop over the last several years at the dams. The previous 3 readings are on your left. We receive an update every week, and these are the last readings, the last previous readings. You'll note there In June, we point out that it's 19.0%. That was the last reading for that month. But quite frankly, we actually got down to 18%, 18 point something, 18.12, which is lower than what we saw in 98. So this rain, a lot of it has fallen here. Some of it up Falcon Dam, which has helped raise the levels. But whenever you see the rain, take a look at Amistad and take a look at Falcon to see if there's rain out there. Sometimes we get it down here, which we'll take. But really, we're after, ideally, it'd be at those dams. Next slide. I'm not going to get into too much of the restrictions. All this information is on our website. Our plan is on the PUB website. It details the restrictions. This is just a summary of the restrictions. But should you need any more of that information, we'd be glad to provide that. Stage 2, what you're looking at there is, restrictions where landscape irrigation is twice per week. And should we get to, to stage 3, now you're looking at, instead of twice per week, it's once per week. So things just get a little tighter as we move from one stage to the other. One of the things that I do want to point out for stage 3, again, as I mentioned earlier, surcharges for commercial and residential, customers. So again, that's something that we're all trying to avoid, but that's something that may be implemented. Not necessarily implemented, but that's something where a decision will be made whether or not that needs to be implemented. On stage 3, I'm not sure if it's listed here, Resacas. One of the things that we'll definitely be looking at is the restrictions from pumping water out of Resacas, as well as pumping in. At least that's how our plan reads now. We make accommodations for supporting wildlife in Resacas, so they won't go dry, but there'll definitely be a reduction should we get to stage 3. Next slide. On the positive side, we're fortunate that we have Southmost Regional Water Authority here, which is a groundwater facility. A lot of communities don't have groundwater facilities like we do. Some do, but nevertheless, we're fortunate that we do have that. Our river water, which goes to our surface water plants, provides about 72% of the water needed for Brownsville. That reverse osmosis, Southmost Regional Water Authority facility, provides about 28%. So clearly having a groundwater source not dependent on the river is important. So we're definitely looking at that. And I assure you, a lot of communities are looking at groundwater. Next slide. That's Southmost Regional Water Authority. This is just that's a partnership between PUB and these entities here, Valley Mud, City of Los Fresnos, Port of Brownsville, and Town of Indian Lake. 10 MGD facility. We have about 20 wells located like towards the Rancho Viejo area. But that's the facility that we have now. Next slide. There's the wells, photo of the building where we have wells. And again, the various wells located out by the Rancho Viejo area. Well depth's about 300 feet, pump rate 800 GPM. Next slide. So SRWA phases. In 2004 was when that plan, that facility first began. And this is just to give you a sample of the prices, what it cost then. And 3 and 4 are really what we're looking at now. 3 and 4 is us. We're beginning to focus. Well, we have been focusing for some time, but now we're really looking at what we can do to increase that capacity. First, optimizing it, what we have now, optimizing to ensure that we're able to produce all that we can from that facility, and then looking at expansion. This is just preliminary work. We're reaching out, to various government entities to see, looking at funding. Clearly, that's a lot. It's a lot of, it's an expense, but we're reaching out, making all our efforts to see what we can do to expand that, because that facility will definitely provide, will move us away from that river water demand. Some of the solutions to address our needs on the supply side, as I mentioned earlier, we continue to work with our legislators and so forth to see, to work on that Mexico Treaty, SRWA plant optimization. That's what I just talked about. We're also exploring indirect potable reuse. And what that is, from our wastewater facilities, a lot of that water, which is quite frankly very clean, runs out to, a ditch and out to the Gulf, to the base. So looking at exploring like a lot of other cities do, looking at exploring how we can use that, perhaps for the resaca so that, less demand on the river again. So exploring that at very early stage, and again, looking for funding, potentially a feasibility study to look at that indirect potable reuse. There's some resaca dredging ongoing, water loss audits on a regular basis. We have audits for our facilities where we look at our piping, how much we're losing via breaks and so forth, our meters. So that's what some of the things that we're working on the supply side. On the demand side, we do have a AMI, Advanced Meter Infrastructure Program, that's just underway. That will help. We're working on updating our conservation plan, as I mentioned earlier, and clearly awareness. We're getting out there at least to reach out to residents and customers in particular about, doing what we can to conserve water as much as we can for now. I believe that's it. Next slide. Thank you again for the opportunity. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Same here.
You pump water, you pump groundwater. You also, from the cleaning plant in Robindale, understand that the water that is cleaned there is perfectly good water and can be used for irrigation and industrial water. And you pump it out in the shipping channel. How many gallons, millions of gallons a day do you pump in there?
From that one particular plant, it's about 8 million gallons, roughly about 8 million gallons that we discharge
Per day?
From the wastewater plant. And clearly, again, that's why looking at that indirect potable reuse, looking at ways that potentially, might work for industrial use, irrigation, that's definitely something that we're exploring for sure.
And we are always looking, we're always short of industrial water, and
Yeah.
it should be fairly easy to put a pipeline from that plant into one of resaca collected there and then take it from there and use it where we need it. I find it appalling that they're pumping that much water into the shipping channel. That's my question.
Okay, well, I had a question. On stage 2, you indicated that we should probably water our lawns like twice a week or something like that, no more. Any given day, can I do it on Monday and Tuesdays, or is it always on Friday, or?
Yeah, there are specific days based on your address.
Based on what?
Based on the last digit of your address. So there's specific days and times based on.
Where do I find that at?
Yeah, it's, I'd be glad to.
Not on my bill, not
Yeah,
on my.
it's on our website. On our website, you can find that information. You just look up drought, it'll definitely be there. I believe there's flyers that go out occasionally, but nevertheless, I'd be glad to provide that information as well. But it is on our website.
I guess the point I'm trying to make, though, I have to really go out and dig and research and find out when, if you put it on my PUB bill, I'm looking at the bill and it's, my last number ends in 3, I cannot water on Wednesdays or something. I mean, it would be a lot easier for customers, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion.
Yep.
My other question, you talk about dredging. Now, is this a proposed project, or is this a ongoing project?
Dredging is underway now. There's some dredging going on. If you were to go to Rotary Park, you'd see the little dredge there. But yeah, dredging has been ongoing for a few years now.
Okay, but the only dredging I've seen is over by where Cummings Middle School is at. Is that what you're talking about?
We're in the town of Resaca system. We're still there, moving around within the town of Resaca system.
And unless it's like somewhere you pass by, but it's definitely been in other places. Like they did Rio Viejo, I think, more recently, right? Which is
Rancho
close.
Viejo,
Rio Viejo,
Rio
like
Viejo,
Palm Boulevard.
Along Palm Boulevard, yes.
When you're talking about dredging, you're really talking about increasing your storage facility, right?
Yeah, increasing capacity, it serves for drainage. I mean, there's some resacas where Resaca de la Guerra in particular, where we pull water out from there, where we have the ability to pull water from there. So clearly dredging, we haven't dredged that, but clearly dredging that will provide that storage. In addition to storage, I mean, I know we're talking about drought, and that's the focus for storage, but from a drainage standpoint, dredging the resacas during rain events like this, it just provides more capacity to be able to take in all that runoff. We have the ability to lower resacas, us along with the city, and so that when we know there's incoming rain events, hurricanes, so that would provide additional storage as well. I mean, from a flood damage reduction standpoint.
Okay, and then I guess my final question is, if you happen to live on a resaca, or if your property has a resaca in the back, and we use the resaca water to water our lawns, how do you monitor the amount of water I'm using to water my lawns?
At this point, we don't have that ability to monitor what everybody's watering. I mean, we do clearly if it's just tied to the recycle, we don't. So those are the things that we're exploring as part of this new plan that we're working on.
Okay, thank you.
Out of curiosity, you mentioned that there's a surcharge that may be placed after you hit level 3. The surcharges and the money that's collected from the surcharges, is there a specific fund that it goes to? Or does that just become part of the general fund for PUB?
Again, the intent of the surcharge is simply to deter.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
that it's a syntax at the end of the day, but, you know, is it all this money collected goes to further water conservation efforts, or does it just fall into the general fund?
Yeah, we haven't hit that just yet, but I could definitely inquire.
I think that's something that
Sure.
the public would want to know, that where that money's going.
When you dredge, what's the deep that you get?
The depth varies from resaca to resaca. For example, at Dean Porter Park, there was a few pockets where we were greater than 9 feet, you know, quite frankly, looking into, 10, 11, 12 feet. It varies. The contours are, all over the place. On average, I would say about 4 feet for most resacas. It just depends. There's some areas where all you have is about a foot or so. But on average, between 4 to 5 feet is the amount of sediment that we remove before you hit clay.
Any more questions, guys? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Informative.
Thank you. Next item, discussion, consideration, and acknowledgement of the Greater Brownsville Incentive Corporation Financials and Quarterly Investment Report presented by Salvador Villapando.
Good afternoon, Chairman and board members. Today we'll be going over the GBIC financials as of August, which includes 11 out of the 12 months of the fiscal year. Total net position is currently at 40.1 million, which consists of total assets at 40.4 million, less liabilities at $311,000. Our assets consist of 193,000 in cash, 25.8 million in investments, 654,000 in receivables, and again, that's sales tax receivables for the month of July, which are remitted from the comptroller to the city and then from the city to GBIC. And then also assets consist of 13.8 million in capital assets. Our liabilities include 261,000 in payables and 50,000 in escrow. Lastly, our net position consists of, again, 13.8 million in assets, capital assets, 24.3 million in an undesignated fund balance, and lastly, 2 million in designated fund balance as per contractual commitments. Next slide, please. Here we have a breakdown of budget to actuals comparison through August. We're going to highlight the actuals for this current fiscal year. Total revenues are 7.8 million, expenditures 4.8, for total revenues over expenditures of 2.9 million. In revenues, we have 6.4 in sales tax, 1.2 million in interest, $171,000 in sale of land, $17,000 in sponsorships, and $424,000 in miscellaneous revenues. For expenditures, we have $2.1 million in operating, $1.1 million in incentive expenditures, $719,000 in initiatives, and lastly, $944,000, and that was a payment to the city for the debt service contribution for a bond that was taken out for the airport terminal. Next slide, please. Lastly, we have a sales tax comparison between this fiscal year and the previous one. Specifically for the month of July, we collected $659,000 in sales tax. That's a 13.3% increase compared to the previous fiscal year. Overall, through the month of July, the subtotal, we have an increase of 5.4% compared to the previous fiscal year. That increase, calculated for the full fiscal year, translates to about a 7.7 million collection in sales tax, which is about a $400,000 increase compared to the previous fiscal year. That concludes the financials. Is there any questions?
On our statement of net position, there's a line item that's improvements other than building. It's 3 million. What is that? What is that? What are those improvements other than building?
So those are any land improvements made at the North Brownsville Industrial Park.
They're planned improvements?
That's correct, between 2008 and 2012. But anything,
At North Brownsville?
yes, any improvements made after the initial purchase of that land.
What do we still have to do up there in North Brownsville?
So we still, on the North Brownsville Industrial Park, we still are pending on the landscaping and building up the sidewalks. We kind of put that on hold on the past couple months, which I already started working on that again. The only thing is the right of way on the front, it's a little bit too narrow, which we need a special permit from the city because the signs are gonna be on the right of way instead of being on the property sign. So that is a separate permit with the city and with TxDOT. So I'm working on that. That's why it has been taking a little bit longer than expected. But the plan is to do landscaping and a sidewalk along Paredes Design, and landscaping on the median on GBIC Circle, which is the main entrance.
Have we got agreement with contractors to get that done?
So I started to do that, but since we had a couple of changes based on the location of the sign, initially, or the current signs are inside the property.
Okay.
Inside the property line, they are not outside on the right of way. So we had a couple of adjustments there. So that has been the point where I have been going back and forth with the adjustments.
Can we try to put a timeline on that? And you and I can talk about that later, see if we can't move that ahead. The only thing we need to sell is lot 8, right?
Yes,
Everything else is gone.
yes.
Good.
And I will give you an update on that on a few
Okay,
minutes.
thank you. Another question, Frank?
No.
We need a
Yeah,
motion.
I need a motion to accept the financials.
Make a motion to acknowledge.
Second.
Second. We have a motion to accept as presented and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, discussion, consideration, and action, if any, on the approval of the GBIC depository agreement with the Lone Star National Bank, presented by Tania Lopez.
Good evening, board members. My name is Tania Lopez. I'm the treasury manager from the city of Brownsville, and I'm going to be talking about the public funds depository services. So the initial agreement is going to begin on October 1st, 2024, and it's going to end on September 30th, 2027. And the entity may extend the contract for one additional 2-year period through September 30, 2029. The evaluation criteria was the ability to perform and provide the required and requested services, the references provided and quality of services, the cost of the services, the transition costs, retention and transition offers and incentives, funds availability, the interest paid on interest-bearing accounts and deposits, the applicant's physical locations and the convenience of locations, the financial strength and the stability of the institution. The staff recommends accepting the application from Lone Star National Bank based on the following. They offer a very favorable terms and conditions, which are no bank fees and the interest of 4.5% the first 6 months and 3.66 after. We want to give opportunity to local banks, and they have a proven track record both with other Brownsville entities, such as the Port of Brownsville, Cameron County, and BISD. Any questions?
Any questions, guys? Thank you.
Thank you very
We
much.
need to make a decision on this.
We need a motion.
June 30th, 2029.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Is this a 1 year?
Comment says on section
It's
25.
it's initial for 3 years, and then we're gonna do another one for 2 years.
So it's 3 and 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Section
And so
25,
you're-
it says that it continues in effect through June 30th, 2029.
Yeah, so it's a 5-year agreement, but it is, for the first term is 3 years, and then we get to renew it automatically. I think it's year 4 and then year 5. The city is not allowed to go past 5 years, and so that's why it's a generic 5-year agreement.
Then shouldn't it say here for 5 years instead of 3?
It should say 3 with the 2 1-year renewals.
No, it says, the first one is 3 year is the first one, yes.
And that they're offering, how many percent the first,
It's on the slide, look at the slide. Initial
you get the back to the slide where they offer the interest rate.
Yes, 4.5.
5, yeah. But, why did we go down to 3.66? I mean, we have, personally, my wife's really good at that. She gets 4.75% on.
When selecting a depository, a bank, it's more about the services they provide. The city just hired an investment consultant, so that it's also gonna offer that service to GBIC. So let's just say that they're like pool accounts or other type of investment, we could always move additional funds to get a better investment rate.
We say sounds good deal.
Will, from a legal standpoint, this is our depository agreement, right? I mean, is this something that that GBIC will sign off on between Lone Star and the city has their own separate, or it's kind of all bundled together as a package?
It's all bundled together in a package.
Okay.
Now, they will not, the city will not be using Lone Star National Bank for its accounts. It is, Lone Star National Bank is being used for BCIC and GBIC. And there's another fund called Paseo de la Resaca Lightning Maintenance District. They're using it for that as well. So when the city went out for proposals on banking institutions, they did it for not just the city, but also for those other entities as well, including GBIC.
And this bank is fully vetted and all like this, I mean.
Correct.
Okay.
It was already approved by the city, no? Or
Yes.
Okay.
I make a
Okay.
motion to approve.
One more question, and the public funds investment requirement, is that 1.1, 1 in 10% or of public funds required to be covered? Well, what's the percentage required?
I'm sorry?
The percentage requirement relating to pledging securities for.
It's 105%.
Okay.
Any more discussions?
I made a motion.
Okay, then I need a motion to accept as presented.
I made a motion, Chairman.
Any second?
I second.
More discussion? Do we all understand it?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item. Closed session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071 and 551.074, related to the Executive Director / CEO candidate selection, including an employment agreement. 551.071 and 551.087, related to the BISD CTE building. 551.071, 551.072, and 551.087 related to the project oxidizing. 551.071, 551.072, and 551.087 related to project pallet. 551.071, 551.072, and 551.087 related to project industrial. Chairman, we need a motion to go into executive.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, and second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have, we're going to executive. We will be back sometime, hopefully today.
So roll back. Okay. Yes.
I need a motion to
I
resume.
make a motion to resume board meeting.
Second.
Any discussion?
No?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Ayes have, we are back in session. Next item.
Next item. Next item, consideration and action, if any, including but not limited to the adoption of board resolutions related to the items discussed in executive session. Executive Director / CEO candidate selection and employment agreement. BISD CTE building. Project oxidizing. Project pallet. Project industrial.
Bill?
Is the motion on Mark?
Yeah, so number one, the motion would be to offer the employment agreement to Mr. Gilbert Salinas for Director CEO, as discussed in executive session.
As discussed in executive, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I
As
second.
stated.
Any discussions? All those in favor say aye to,
Aye.
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 okay, the ayes have it, the motion agrees. Congratulations, Gilbert.
Why'd you say I too?
I said I as well. I'm not allowed to.
So, okay,
All right, next item.
for number 2, no action.
All those in favor, say, do we have all in one?
No action on number 2.
No action.
No action. Okay.
Okay.
Next item.
So the next item is project oxidizing.
Proceed as discussed in.
Proceed as
Proceed
discussed.
to discuss in
I'll
executive
make a
session.
motion to proceed as discussed in executive session.
Second.
And all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have, we proceed with the project. Next item,
Project palette. No action on project palette.
no action.
No action.
Next item,
And no
Pro-
action on project industrial.
no action.
No action.
No action on that one. Tampoco. Okay?
I make motion to adjourn?
No.
Second.
Didn't. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, we are adjourned. Here is the, all the signatures I had to do. I just signed the last page, that's good. Okay, you got a new boss? Hey, did we agree, Gerardo? Did we agree what time you have to start? Huh?
Mine needs 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thank you.